Welcome to the Golf Guru Show. I am your host, Jason Sutton, aka The Guru, and on today's episode, I have my good friend Derek Radley. Derek is the associate head coach for the University of Arizona women's golf team, who just won the 2018 National Championship. I think you're going to find from our conversation of why Derek is one of the most sought-after assistant coaches in the country. I think for many reasons, and I'm obviously biased because him and his wife Sarah are like family to me and my family, but I've just seen this young man grow into just an outstanding coach, and for a variety of reasons. I think one, it's his passion for golf and for people, more importantly. Also his knowledge of the golf swing and knowledge of golf, and I think what makes young players great, I think, is a huge advantage. And he's one of the best recruiters in the country, in my opinion, just because he's such a tireless worker and has such an outstanding work ethic. So I think, we're going to get into a variety of topics here, as usual, from the recruiting process to his relationship with his team, and some interesting drills I think that he uses based on statistics that I think can help all you coaches out there. So if you have young players that you're coaching, you have some questions about recruiting, this is the guy to go to. So this is just a really fascinating insight into college coaching. And then also we talk about mine and Derek's relationship, which I'm very proud of, to call him a good friend and really, like I said, part of the family. So I hope you enjoy this conversation as we get a little bit out of the teaching realm and into the college coaching space. So lots of nuggets to be gleaned from this conversation. So let's go ahead and get into it with my friend Derek Radley. Derek Radley, Associate Heads Women Golf Coach for the National Championship Arizona Wildcats. Coach D, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Jason, thanks so much for having me, bud. Excited to do this with you for sure.
Yeah, have you come down from cloud nine yet? And you got to be just absolutely just over the moon about your team.
Nah, just what a year and what a season. You as a coach, you dream about it, and really you want it so bad for the players on the team, because you push them every day, and you know what that experience is like, and for them to actually go through and bring back the trophy and really experience what that situation is like, and be able to have that bond between the five of them for the rest of their lives is what it's all about. It was a special moment, no question, and now, but I'm still probably on cloud nine a little bit for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And I know, your journey or your team's journey was not without a lot of adversity, just doing some research on the team and the season. So we'll get into that a little bit, which I think just makes it even more special, because I know you had some players leave and you had, some issues, and then you got some good players to come and be on the team, and everything worked out. Let's kind of backtrack a little bit here before, because we've got so much to cover. I've got so many great questions, and let's backtrack because this is a teacher to teacher show. And I know your background because, we're very good friends, and you're basically like family to me, you and Sarah. So let's take the listeners back and give them some lineage of sort of how you got to where you are today. And we can start with, you as like a junior golfer or when you were a child playing sports.
Yeah, so I got into golf late, and I'm a pretty big guy. I'm 6'5", and so I was that big kid that threw a 70-mile-an-hour fastball that kind of went everywhere. But I love baseball, just love playing all different kinds of sports. Got into golf late, but really loved it, and decided to pursue a career in golf and really focus on it. So. Was fortunate enough to get into and attend Ferris State University up in Michigan. I'm originally from Cleveland, Ohio, so a Midwest guy, but got into Ferris State, and Ferris was wonderful and a good choice for me, not only because it was close to home, but it was the first ever professional golf management program started. And now I think there's a couple dozen of them throughout the country. But for me, it was a good fit. I was fortunate. I actually walked on the men's golf team my freshman year and competed for them all 4 years. Division II, we were. But really, with a stress and a goal to become a golf professional and get my Class A membership to the PGA when I graduated from school.
So what kind of, let me stop you just for a second. What kind of high school player were you? Did you you said you got into it late. I mean, did you have a tough time getting in because maybe you couldn't pass the PAT right away and you got good late?
I'm pretty hand-eye coordinated. To be honest with you, I never really had any golf lessons getting into it. My grandfather, we're still pretty close to this day. He was the one who really kind of introduced me to golf. But yeah, I knew I had to pass the PAT, and so I knew I needed to take it pretty serious. As a freshman, I actually made our varsity team, our varsity golf team, and and then was the captain by the time I was a senior, and I was okay. I could hang around even par. Nothing special. I really wasn't recruited by anybody. I just knew I loved golf and wanted to pursue it, as a career.
So after college, tell us a little bit about how you kind of got into the golf business, because you get a degree at the PGM, which I think is a fantastic journey and a good career path. So tell us how you got into the business after that and what happened.
Yeah, sure. So it is. It's a great. It was great for me. There were so many contacts through Ferris State, and that's what I loved about it. Through the program, I was mandated to do 4 different internships, and the first 3 being inside a golf shop, making tee times, doing everything that an assistant golf professional would do. A little bit of teaching, not much. And then my last internship was strictly teaching and being outside, being with the clientele, watching these other instructors interact on a day-to-day basis. How much fun they had with it. I knew that was where I needed to be in the golf business. And then from there, put my resume in to a wonderful opportunity down in Charlotte, North Carolina, with Dana Rader Golf School. And I remember was fortunate enough to come down on an interview. And my boy Jason Sutton here asked me a question. What is this? Showed me a picture of a golfer at the top of the swing and said, "Is this club face open or closed?" And I think I said 1, and it was completely wrong.
Yeah, it was backwards.
It was backwards. That's right. So, but I was pretty raw. But I love. I guess one of my strong suits would be relationships, and I love developing relationships and being with people. And after they given the completely wrong answer, was shocked that I got the phone call and Dana was still interested in me. But man, wouldn't be here, where I am today, no question, without that start.
So yeah, we definitely saw the potential there and gave a young buck a chance, which really worked out great, because that's how we met and that's how we became friends and have kind of kept growing our relationship throughout the years, as we can kind of get to later on. So after Dana, you were there for what, a couple years? You weren't there too long.
Yeah, just about 2 years with Dana, and
right.
Really, Jay, I've told you this before, right? Just fast forward quickly, and then we'll go back. But right after I had the opportunity to be a part of this national championship team, one of my first text messages was to you, bud, and I wouldn't be or have the ideas or the abilities to help any golfer, let alone these special young women that won the national championship, if it wasn't for you. And I saw that. I think we developed an instant friendship. I mean, I really look up to you as one of really my main mentor in this industry, in this business. And it's no question that you've had all the success that you had, but I just while we're on air, and I sent you the text message, just thank you for everything that you've done for me.
Yeah, that was really nice. And I I don't know that I've done that much, but it really meant a lot to you say that. So tell us, you go, because you left Dana's. I think you went to Michigan, right, to do some more coaching.
Right.
And I kind of had an idea that you were trying to get into the college coaching realm. So tell us sort of how that sort of pushed you into where you're at now.
Yeah, sure. So from Dana's, I had the opportunity to there's a gentleman back in Michigan, who's still a great friend of mine to this day, Dave Kendall. And Dave was a section of the Michigan PGA at the time. But Dave also has his own golf academy. And he was looking to expand his academy to the west part of Michigan because he had a lot of students driving down kind of a long ways. And, sometimes the weather could not be so great up there, especially in the wintertime. He had a facility that he could teach all year round, but he wanted to really expand to the west side. So we worked it out, and I was excited for the opportunity and really started it from scratch up there, and developed a nice little clientele base, had a lot of fun with it, made a lot of close friendships up there, and then needed to find a spot for the wintertime with the summers obviously not being so good. So that's when I had the opportunity to go down to Florida, down to Black Diamond Ranch, actually, just north of Tampa, and kind of hang my hat there, worked inside the shop a little bit, and then taught for fun. Down there in Lecanto, Florida is where the golf course is where I met my now wife, Sarah Brown, as many of the golf business knows her as, or golf fans. And we've since gotten married, but when we first met, I always kind of joked, and I told her I'm only going to be boyfriend, not coach or caddy. And that quickly turned into all three. My nickname out there was 3 and 1. But, Sarah had the opportunity. Really, she was struggling with her career at the time. Moved there to take some lessons, really, from the gentleman that was teaching next to me. And really was still struggling with her game a lot. And I was just kind of able to help her, looked at some videos, get back a little bit to what she did when she played well. And, it was funny because then I would go back to Michigan to teach the next summer, and she would be like, "Hey, babe, I'm really missing you. Why don't you come visit me out on?" And she was on the Symetra tour at the time, and so I'd go, and she's like, "Well, if you're here, can you carry the clubs?" And kind of suckered me into that, right? And so, but no, and she did great. And then that fall, she asked me if I would caddy for her at Q school, and fortunately she was able to get through and finished top 20 at final stage at LPGA Tour Q school, and got her full rookie card the next year. Also went to European Tour Q school that fall and got her full card on for that tour as well. And kind of looked at me and said, "Hey, you want to take a couple years off of teaching and come travel with me full time?" And that's what we did. We were so blessed to travel the world, and here we are young and, in our late 20s, traveling the world as boyfriend and girlfriend together. It was pretty special.
Yeah, that was fun. I know you would call me or text me, and I was doing a little bit of consulting on the back end of any questions that you had.
Yeah, I'd be like, "Jay, she's doing this. What do you think?" So,
right.
No, you were always the voice of reason for sure, and I think, man, I owe you more than anything, really, for that, because you kept the peace between our relationship.
Yeah, that's what I kept telling you. Like, man, you got to pick and choose one. You got to be either caddy, fiance, or boyfriend, or coach. And then finally, I think she came to, because she'd always come to stay with me and Tiff,
right,
for a couple months when she was playing, and finally she asked me to help her, and so I proceeded to just run her right off the tour.
I was so thankful at that point. I'm like, "Oh, please go talk to Jay." It was great because we figured out how to make it work on the golf course. It wasn't easy. I think when I went on my interview here at Arizona when the assistant job had opened, that was really one of the main things I stressed. Was they asked me, "Why would you make a good women's golf coach?" And I basically said, I've had the best training anybody could ever have in caddying for my wife for two almost 3 years out there, and we're still together. But in all honesty, it's so true. It's trust me, without Sarah, no way I would be here today and have had the success coaching that I have without her. I mean, she's, it's great. Even during the national championship, she was texting me, giving me ideas and stuff, and she's just so helpful and such a good role model for these young ladies to be around too. She's pretty special for sure. So kind of go back, so I'm like, all right, I'm caddying for her, and man, our relationship's getting pretty serious, but I'm not making any money out here. She's just not paying me good. So I need to really look for a job because I want to take that next step in our relationship and be able to save money for an engagement ring. And Sarah is born and raised in Tucson here in Arizona, and she basically grew up. Her best girlfriend is married to my now boss. And the four of us would always hang out together, winter together. And he would always tell me, his name is Thomas Theodorakis. He's a great friend of mine. And he would always say, with your a little bit of instructional background and caddying for your wife, you'd be perfect for coaching women's golf. And so when the assistant job opened, he put my resume at the forefront, and I was fortunate enough to get the job 6 years ago today. So.
Yeah, that's great. That actually was my next question, is what led you to the change. And that's perfect, makes perfect sense. And you've been obviously a great fit, and now probably one of the, if not the foremost sought after, assistants in the country. So the first question I have is what lessons did you learn from your teaching career that you applied to your college coaching career? Because I know you do help the girls a little. I know that a lot of them have swing coaches, and I deal with that a lot too. With you don't want the college coaches to be too involved with their technique, and we'll get into more, I guess, of the structure and how you do your practices, because I think you're fantastic at that. But what lessons have you learned? You feel like you can draw upon now being a college coach?
I'm so thankful that I do have the little bit of instructional background that I do. And like I said, being able to, hang on your hip and really pick up everything, we still stay in contact as much as we can. I love to try to get to you, every summer really, and just kind of sit in the background and watch you teach and pick up anything new. So for me, and I use this in my recruiting pitch, is we're recruiting you for a reason. And I do have instruction background, but I'm not here because I want to change everything. I'm not recruiting you because we want to change everything. I would love to, build a relationship with your swing coach, and B, have us all work together to get the best out of you that we can possibly get. So I'm fortunate in that I do have that little bit of instructional background that I felt like I really have the ability to help these young ladies, as they come to college, play their best golf that they possibly can and try to make it to the next level or reach and attain whatever their goals are. So that's really what gets me up every morning. That's why I love it. But, more importantly, I felt like that's what kind of separated me from the rest of the coaching population sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's so valuable, and I hope college coaches out there, because I love it when the kids that I teach and that are playing college, when the coach calls and asks, "Hey, what are you working on?" And it just shows a camaraderie of a team effort rather than that player getting two different views. One from their swing coach that maybe can't be there every day, and one from their college coach. I think it can cause a real issue, and I've seen players get worse once they get to college because of that. So I applaud you for that, that part of your job, because I think it's so important. And if I'm sitting in a room and you're recruiting my daughter, that's going to be just music to my ears.
Yeah, we've been fortunate to have a lot of success with the recruits that we have, and we're fortunate. We're recruiting really top players all over the world. And so I can't tell you how many, FaceTime and Skype calls that we've had during practice sessions with swing coaches, whether it be from a swing coach from Norway or a swing coach from the Philippines, or a swing coach from Taiwan, because that swing coach is more important than anybody. And, that us as college coaches, I mean, we're always going to be there for you, but that swing coach has really been there since day one, and I love learning from them to be able to help and get the best out of the young lady.
Yeah, no doubt. So I want to read a quote that I got from the Golf Channel piece that they did with you guys, and I want to get some clarification on this because I thought this was really cool. It says, early on, Ianello, which is your head coach in Radley, organized a team retreat at a hotel in Tucson. There, the players created Oprah-inspired vision boards and completed exercises blindfolded and delivered 60-second speeches to break down barriers. At the end of the session, they created T-shirts that donned all spring. They splashed the Grade 8 on the front, put the state of Arizona on each player's country of origin on their sleeves, and on their back printed their names in a slogan: if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And you said, I can't think of anything else that better embodies this team. So can you expand on that, and who kind of came up with that idea? That was fantastic.
Yeah, so I can tell you, we went through some difficulties this off season. I'm not going to lie. We had a senior on the team who was ranked 35th in the world, and she promised myself and Coach Ianello, the head coach here at Arizona, that she did go to Q school in the fall, and she had promised us that unless she got LPGA Tour status, she would be returning in the spring. And on paper, we had one of the best teams, if ever, here at the University of Arizona. And, it's been a strong history of women's golf here in the program with some of the greatest players ever to come through the program. So on Christmas Day, she sent a text message saying that she was going to turn pro for the Symetra Tour. And that was really hard, and that was devastating. And so we went from thinking, that we had one of the best teams we've ever had to, wow, now we don't have our senior leader anymore. But Coach Laura and I, we hung in it together and talked a lot about it, and knew that we needed to be confident to the ladies that were here on the team, and that we could really do something special. And so we came up with the idea to have a team retreat. And as you just said, with all those activities that we came up with, we met with our incredible sports psychologist on staff here and picked her brain as to what we could do to take the competition aspect out of it, get the golf clubs out of their hands, and really get to know each other on a personal level. And those young ladies came up with that slogan all on their own. And I went and had those T-shirts made for them. And every time I saw them, seemed like not in golf clothes. One of them or a bunch of them were wearing that T-shirt. They
cool.
Really believed in that. And to take down the number 1, 2, and 3 teams in the country in match play to national championship, there's no way that this special group of kids would have been able to do that without truly believing in one another and coming together, not only as a team but as a family. In all honesty.
Yeah, it's just, and you could tell, and it was so cool because me and my family were watching as you guys went through it, and they had the microphones out, and and I know you've got a real special bond with the girls, and especially Haley, which is a really special player, and it was just so cool watching you coach her down the stretch, and watching her, because she's so emotional, and then you're such that calming force. You can tell the girls really trust you. How did that start? I mean, how do you feel like that started when you meet the girls, and how do you sort of bond or get that bond, that relationship started with them?
Yeah, it really starts with the recruiting process, and like I alluded to earlier in this conversation, I think one of my strong suits has always been relationships, and it really comes from a sincere place. I care about these players a lot more so than just their golf scores, and that's the reason why I got into it. I love coaching. It's a perfect fit for me. It's a little bit of instruction along with recruiting and person development. And I found my niche, and I'm fortunate enough and blessed. I want to do it for the rest of my life if I can. But yeah, I mean, the relationship with the young ladies starts when you start recruiting them, and you get to know not only them but but their family. A lot of these girls start playing golf because their dad took them to the golf course and drug them out there. So, I guess I am almost a father figure in a sense. Here at school and in Tucson when they come away from their families, I try to really gain their trust right off the bat is my goal. I'm a firm believer in I don't swear in front of them. I don't think you can ask any of them in 6 years of coaching them. I just don't believe in it. I have a lot of patience. I very rarely really get upset. I just don't think that would help in any way. Using terms like, maybe, hey, we're a little disappointed in you today, I think goes a lot more than yelling at them. So it's really just about gaining relationships and helping them not on the golf course, but off the golf course. I think that really gains the trust. And my goal always as a coach is to be able to gain the trust so that I can help them build self-esteem and be more confident than they've ever been in their entire lives. And, I think that's the key to my success anyways as a coach and in my role here at Arizona. That's really what I've always put at the forefront and tried to accomplish on a daily basis, and just come with a positive attitude every single day, and really with factual information and along those lines, I not being so involved in the instruction, but having TrackMan and I think that's really helped bridge that gap of communication with the coach. Is like, hey, here's TrackMan numbers. This is factual information, and now we can turn it to the coach and kind of let him know we're struggling ball flight wise. This is how we can kind of help you to get back. And so, there's so many times that we'll be at a tournament and one of them or a couple of them might really struggle in a round. And I feel like that's a strong suit of mine is I can really help them, whether it be during the round or after, to at least kind of fix and ball flight, help them curve it the other way, or just kind of figure out how to keep it in front of them, so that they can get through the tournament and be able to perform a lot better than they would if I wasn't there to help them.
Yeah, I think that definitely is a big plus. So, and I know, because we've had so many conversations and I know how good a recruiter you are, because you guys don't even have the facilities a lot of other schools have. So you're definitely selling what you're bringing, which is the relationship building and the structure and the caring that you show the girls. So talk to me about when you're recruiting these young athletes, what attributes do you look for in a player?
Yeah, so I'm really big into world amateur rankings. WAGR is the it's WAGR, World Amateur Golf Ranking.org. To me, it's really accurate as to the best amateurs in the world, and I kind of start at the top and go down, from there, and am able to find young ladies off there, and then look them up, on social media. I love being able to find them on Instagram and see what their posts are. If they're about
right.
golf
Sure.
or maybe some other social behaviors that might not be the best suited for our culture here in the program. So, but yeah, I'm looking for obviously somebody who's been able to play in bigger tournaments and had a little success doing that, and then from there, we'll book flights to go watch them in person. And to me, it's funny, Bud, because over the years I've kind of changed, I think, my recruiting style a little bit. Early on, I think being the instructor or and having that background, I'd be out there looking for like perfect technique. You know what I mean? Like, is
Right.
the face square? What's it look like?
Pretty golf swing.
Yeah, is it beautiful looking? And I'm like, oh man, but that pretty golf swing doesn't always perform. And so from that, from there, I've kind of learned lessons in that, I think, with some of the players that we've gotten in here, and learn that it's not necessarily about that. It's about ball control. And, when I'm out there, I'm watching these kids and are they hitting it, consistently pin high? Are they able to keep it in front of them off the tee? And if they are struggling a little bit, are they able to coach themselves and figure out, what they're doing wrong? So, and then, of course, scoring average. I've really taken that into consideration. So I'm not necessarily out there looking for the prettiest golf swing anymore, although it still does kind of catch my eye. But I'm really just looking for, what do you sign in your scorecard? And how can you kind of manage yourself? And for even further, past that, I think it's important. I love, and I'll tell most recruits this, I love kind of hanging out in the parking lots and watching how they treat their mother and father, before or after as they get in and out of their cars. And I love, really paying attention and seeing if they're going up and thanking the volunteers. It's something so small, but I know if they're doing that, then they're going to make a great teammate and they're going to fit into the culture here that we have at Arizona. So I love watching them if they have a bad hole. How do they react and what do they do?
Body language is important, right?
Absolutely. And it's something obviously that as coaches we can continue to develop and work, but you need to feel like as a coach that this kid, has the possibility to work on it and can improve it if they aren't, great at it to begin with.
Yeah, one of the things that impressed me about you, and I think is so smart, and I have my son's a good player and getting recruited, is that you go out and watch the kids in practice rounds and watch how they prepare. And I just don't see that many coaches doing that. I think that's so smart.
Yeah, I've been fortunate to be able to get out early and get on them and watch them in that situation because, if they have no idea what they're doing or they're out there just kind of to be out there and having fun and laughing and joking, I don't know how serious they are. And I've always felt like if a young lady or even young boy coming into this game, if they truly love the game of golf, then any coach is going to be able to help them get better, right? But if they're out there because they're either forced to be out there, or they just want to be out there for the social aspect of it, I don't know how far they're going to be able to go in the game. And they might be a great fit for some programs, don't get me wrong. But, we have expectations here in our program and to compete for national championships. And we're looking for the kids that are really taking it serious and love the game of golf and want to try to play at the next level.
Yeah, that's really good. So just to educate some of maybe the coaches out there, or even the parents that might listen, give the listeners some just basic rules of the recruiting process and what junior golfers need to know if they want to play college golf.
Yeah, so I think the first thing to do is just play somewhere. Get started, no matter what tour it is locally, so that you're able just to start somewhere and learn how to win at that level. And if you can be successful enough to, and always try to keep pushing yourself onto the next level, and then learn how to win there, and so on and so forth, is really all my suggestion I always give to parents and young players getting into it. But I think then once you kind of reach a certain level, and you feel like, hey, man, I can really contribute to a college program, I think you need to start emailing and start contacting coaches. There's rules and regulations that we're actually not allowed to reach out to players or parents until a certain age, which I believe is September 1st of their junior year in high school now.
Right. Yeah.
And so, it's important really for, it's just like I always kind of tell them it's like a job. If you're going after a job, then you want to try to get your name in there, as much as possible. So, even little things, even if they don't contact you back, just keep sending them in an email. We see those as coaches, no matter who the player is. Send them results. Send them, put together a schedule. Hey, coach, I got this upcoming, a couple tournaments. Hope to see you there. If not, I'm going to let you know how I do. And that's a great way to get your name in the door and let that coach put your name on that coach's radar. Because the factuality of it is we at women's programs, fully funded women's programs, we have 6 full scholarships to offer, and men's programs have 4.5 full scholarships to offer. So that's not that many. And so how are you going to prove yourself to that coach and get yourself and make the coach know who you are? And it's really just through contact is great. And also then at the same time, which I'm sure many of the instructors know that they've probably been contacted before in the past, but coaches, we are allowed via NCAA rules to contact swing instructors on behalf of the player. And
right,
so
that's why I think that's so important.
It is, and I love that we're able to do that, right? Like golf in our sport is pretty unique in that, when that young lady or young boy goes to college, they still have their swing coach back home versus, a football player goes to college and their new coach and only coach is that college coach now, and they leave the high school coach behind. So,
right.
I love the ability to be able to contact swing coaches, and it's, I feel like I could gain so much insight on the player too, but really just to build those relationships right off the bat.
Yeah, that's really good. So let's transition a little bit back into, talking to yourself when you were a PGM student, because this is a show to help other coaches and other teachers. And this is a question that I always give every person on the show is, what advice would you give a passionate PGM student or young coach that wants to get into the teaching business?
I think, find your niche, find what you're good at. And I think you really need to do that by surrounding yourself by top instructors that do it for a living, and gather as much information as you can. And still to this day, I still approach it that way. I was fortunate enough to be on a national championship team, and I still feel like I have so much more to grow and to learn in this business and industry. Latch onto them and find out what works for them, and take little bits and pieces of that. And for me, don't just when you do start getting into teaching and giving lessons, don't just fix something because it looks funky or doesn't look right. Make sure that if you are going to make a change on somebody, that you know exactly why you're making the change and you know exactly what it's going to do. I remember you, Jay, always telling me, if you're going to make a change on a student, you better go in and make a couple rehearsal swings and make sure that first golf shot that they hit after you've made that change is the best one they've ever hit in their entire life. And if you do that, they'll be hooked for a lifetime. And, I still think about that every single day while I'm coaching even these ladies at this elite level. I don't make a change on them without knowing statistical background. And we use an incredible program called Birdie Fire that even has strokes gained for putting. And I tell them all the time, look, we're not going to make a change or approach a change with your swing coach without knowing that, hey, there's really a true weakness there. And if there is a true weakness there and we can identify it in the stats, then now we actually have a black and white reason to say, hey, we actually need to change this, and let's figure out a way to go about it. So I think stats program is really huge, I think, for instructors to get into, especially with their better players and their elite level students. Really help them go above and beyond just the mechanics of the golf swing, but to make them better golfers in the long run.
Yeah, I think that's great. And that's a great lead in. I don't want you to give all your secrets away, but the thing that I really admire about you, and we've talked about this, is how you structure the practices and give the girls drills. So can you share a couple of your favorite, like say putting drills or short game drills that you
No,
give
absolutely.
your team?
But it's really based off of our stats program. And that's where I felt like as a coach, like I said, I have the instructional background. It's there if we need to use it. But I would always try to find out how can I help these young ladies get better. And really it's through the stats program that we have, because them putting that in, and it's really cool. It's an app on their phone that they go in and they know, okay, Coach D, I know it's due by midnight, of the night that we complete the round. I promise I'll get it done. So they go in and they put the stats program in, and from there, they that way then I can identify where the strengths and weaknesses are. And so a lot of times to me, if you can clean it up around the greens, you're always going to help your team, no matter what level you're at. And so we really, really stress on short game. And we keep stats, not only individually, but in a team setting. And we do that, I would say, probably once before every tournament is what we use is the Dave Pell's short game test. And it's great because it's I think it's 9 different golf shots, different types of short game shots. And that we'll pair them up with a partner, which I love. And they have scorecards that they take out there. And, they each hit 10 shots from each location. And their partner is measuring. If they make it, it's 4 points. If it's within 3 feet, it's 2 points. And if it's within 6 feet, it's 1 point. And we keep track of that. And I have all that information up on a chalkboard in my office, and we kind of make a fun game out of it. But, we see who the ultimate high scorer goes to, over the however many years of the program. And we've been doing it now for, I think, 6 years. And they can really know what parts of their short game are good and what parts they need to work on. That's one of our favorite drills that we love to consistently, do before every tournament.
Yeah, that's great. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit. We'll get into some of these rapid fire questions. Describe a failure or an apparent failure that has set you up for later success. And do you have a favorite failure?
Yeah, so
it could be anything from life to golf to whatever.
For me, it was, I can remember one in particular coaching with a young lady. She was struggling with her ball flight and a little bit I could see. I didn't think it was that bad, but this was early on. As a matter of fact, I think it was the first couple months of coaching. She was an elite level. I think she was a 2-time All-American, and I automatically kind of plugged in and started saying things to help her, and I made the situation a lot worse. And so I remember watching the national championship that year and seeing an interview from somebody who I'm very close with, the head coach at USC, Andrea Gaston. And Coach Gaston is a Hall of Fame women's golf coach. I think she's got 5 national championships there. Has coached an endless supply of tour players that have gone through that program. And she said in her interview, I wait for coachable moments. And that has always stuck with me in my career. And it's almost like I plug myself in when needed to, especially on the golf course. But I almost sometimes would rather sit back and maybe wait for the young ladies to make a mistake on their own, and then come to me and ask for help. Because I know at that particular moment in time, they're going to be coachable. And I can help them from that point forward.
That's a great point. Yeah. That's awesome. So I think, as continuous learners in whatever business you're in, it's important to always stay in that beginner's mindset. So when is the last time you learned a new skill, and describe the feeling of being the student instead of the teacher?
Say that one more time, bud. Sorry, it cut in and out just a bit there. Yeah.
So I think it's important that as continuous learners, we're always, kind of staying in that beginner's mindset. So when is the last time that you learned a new skill, and describe the feeling of being the student instead of the teacher?
Sorry, I'm having a little Wi-Fi problems. Hang on, bud. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay.
Yeah, we're good.
Yeah, okay.
It's gotten a little bit in.
A skill of me being the student instead of the teacher.
Yeah, like I've had people say they're learning a musical instrument, or they're learning to swim, or just anything new in your life. You probably don't have time as busy as you are, but I think it's always an interesting question.
I think learning to be a father. My wife and
there you go.
We have a little guy. He's almost 2.5 now. Palmer is what we named him after Arnold. PJ. Yeah. He's Jay hooked him up. He's got his little Scotty already. He's dialed in, so he's ready to rock with his little putter. But yep.
That's right. Yeah,
that's right.
He's my youngest student
all
officially.
No, that has brought such a balance to my life, and I would think Sarah's life as well. She would say the same thing. But kids don't come with instructions, and so learning how to
that's right,
how to really balance what I did coaching, because it takes so much time, and I am away so much. And now coming full circle, he's 2.5 with my wife. I feel like her and I are stronger than ever. And he's such a good little boy, and we're so blessed, and I'm so thankful. But there was definitely, I think, parts of me that when we first had him felt like took away, from my coaching a bit, and just job in general. And I really needed to learn how to find the balance between the two.
Yeah, that's good. It definitely is something that will grow and grow. We're enjoying watching him. We don't get to see him enough. We can't wait for you guys to come visit. I can't wait to see him. He's already hitting it.
Oh man,
he's already hitting it better than I did.
Roping it, man. It's unbelievable. I can't wait. I can't wait for you to see him hit it. It's unbelievable. Every one he's. Might not get up in the air, but he's able to literally make contact with everyone that he puts in front of him, no matter where it is in his stance or how he's standing.
It reminds me so much of Nick back in those days.
It's cool, man. I remember when Nick was that size too. I think that's when we first met, when he was then riding around on the skateboard everywhere. So, yeah.
That's right. All right, so I think I know the answer to this one, but I'm going to ask you is, when was the last time you cried tears of joy, and why?
National championship, no question. When I was fortunate to be with Haley, fortunate enough to be with her down the stretch, and just try, like you said, just try to keep her calm. And I've walked with Haley a lot over the last 3 years of her being here in Arizona, and walking with her coming down the stretch, and as soon as she had the 4-footer to make it, to win the whole deal, I really hadn't gotten emotional at any point in the week until that moment, and my eyes started filling up, and I took myself kind of out of the picture and walked all the way to the back fringe and just kind of squatted down, and I knew she was going to make it before she even hit the putt. And my eyes started filling up like crazy, and she made it to win. And from that perspective of standing back there, I just saw the entire team run after her and embrace her, and I just lost it. And then from there, my first walk was I walked over to Coach Laura, and we hugged each other. And then from there, my second hug was my dad. And my dad and I are, we're best buddies, man. And he was always my coach, really growing up, and all my little league stuff, or basketball teams and whatever we did, and he was able to stay there with me all week in the hotel and be there, with us and the team every step of the way. And man, when I saw him and put my arms around him, I couldn't help it. I lost it. It was incredible. Yeah.
That's so cool that he could be there and share that with you. That's amazing.
It was incredible. So
that's so cool. All right, so let's give out some book recommendations. So I always ask, what book have you most gifted or recommended to friends or colleagues, and why? And which books have had the most influence in your life?
I'll tell you the latest one that I've actually read, and I ordered online. You'd be proud of me, Jay. is from Coach McGraw. And Coach McGraw is one of the greatest coaches in our industry and what we do. He's on the men's side, and he was the head coach at Oklahoma State for a while, and now he's the head coach at Baylor. And he wrote a book and published it. And, I grabbed it, I don't know, I think a year ago or so, and read it on the recruiting trail and at tournaments and stuff. And it's incredible. It just talks about his life experiences as a coach, his work ethic. He tries to get out there before everybody else recruiting, and some of the things that he does to his team, and the success that he's had. One of my favorite stories in particular that he talked about was coaching his team and how they structure qualifying. And what he would do is he would write in an envelope before the qualifier would start how he was going to make his picks or coach his picks or what he was going to do. So the guys on the team never knew what the qualifying system was going to be. And so they had to go out there. It could be anywhere from the top 5 scorers are going, or, whoever averages the best up and down rates is going, percentages in short game. So I think it was a great way, and I learned a valuable lesson in that anytime I think you can create tough situations in practice, will make it easier, and the kids can really thrive in the battle of competition.
That's a mouthful right there. So what's the name of the book? I'll hook it up in the show notes afterwards.
I'm drawing a blank on the name of it.
That's okay. If you don't know, we can get it afterwards. All right. So next question is, and this is always a good one, is when you feel overwhelmed or unfocused.
Sorry.
Did you get it?
It's called Better Than I Found It. And Coach McGraw's first name is Mike. So nice. Mike McGraw. And it says My Life in Coaching.
Okay.
Have you seen it before?
Mike McGraw.
Yeah, I think
I have not. I want to read it though. I love reading. As you know, I'm a big reader. I like reading things outside of the golf teaching part.
It's incredible from a college coaching perspective. It's really good. I think anybody would enjoy it.
Awesome. All right, so a couple more here. I really appreciate your time. When you feel overwhelmed or unfocused, what do you do?
Yeah, if I'm overwhelmed or unfocused, 2 things really. I love to get in the gym and work out. So if I'm feeling overwhelmed and stressed, just kind of need to clear my head. My first thing is getting in there, working out. We have an incredible, fortunately I'm in one of the best weight rooms in the country at the University of Arizona. It's just downstairs below my office, so I can sneak down there whenever I need to. But also my voice of reason, and I'm so thankful for it, has always been my wife. And so if I'm ever in trouble, something's on my mind, and she can read me better than anybody, I can always turn to her and know that I can get a great answer, and she'll help me work through the problem and the situation.
That's good. Yeah. Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Okay. You there?
The end. Okay. Yeah. Just cut out just for a second there. Yeah, that's good. I mean, you got picture coverage there, Sarah, for sure.
I definitely have. No question.
All right. One last one. I always like to end with this one is, if you had to get one message to the world via, say, a metaphorical billboard, it could be a quote, could be a saying, a life lesson, what would it be?
My mantra would say, try to do one good thing for somebody every day of your life. And we stress that to the ladies on the team, to do one nice thing for their teammate every single day. And I think if you can live by that rule, you can have a pretty successful life. And it just teaches you to just, we all try to shoot the best golf scores that we can. And we all try to help our students and our players do the best that they can. But if you can help them be a good person and really contribute to society, that's what means more to me than anything.
That's fantastic. What a great way to close. So again, thank you so much for your time. So how can the listeners out there reach out to you and say thanks and what they learned? Give us your Twitter
absolutely.
handle,
So social media, I'm on them all. I'm on Twitter, Coach D, I go by, but my Twitter handle is actually Derek Radley at Derek Radley Golf, and social media is the same at Derek Radley Golf for sure. And then all my contact information is actually on our website at the University of Arizona for the women's golf program. So I'd be happy to talk to anybody and help in any way that I could.
All right. Thanks, man. Fantastic. I really appreciate you coming on the show. Is there anything that I haven't asked you that you would like to?
No, Jay, I just appreciate you for having me, but congratulations to you on all your success. And, I'm excited for us to hopefully connect this summer and come to the dojo and watch the guru in action and pick up some more tips and advice on how I can help the ladies every day. So I'm excited, but thank you so much. And say hi to your family for me. And thanks to everybody listening to this.
I'll do it, man. Thank you so much for coming on, man. I appreciate it. Hello again. Guru back once again. Big thank you to Coach D for coming on the show. That was just a fantastic interview with some really great information on college golf and recruiting and some life lessons sprinkled in there as well. So appreciate that. Reach out to Coach D at Derek Radley Golf on Twitter or Instagram and let him know how much you appreciate his information. Also, tweet me your number one takeaway from this episode. You can tweet me at Golf Guru TV or find me on Instagram at the same handle. Also, if you want to submit a question for Golf Guru Friday, email me at thegolfgurushow@gmail.com, golfgurushow@gmail.com. And coaches and teachers out there, send your questions in. We've had some really good ones in the last couple of weeks, so I enjoy doing the solo missions where I answer your questions and use the technical stuff that we all enjoy. Also, you can use a fake name or I will assign one to you. Leave me an iTunes review. That would be great to let me know how I'm doing. Any recommendations would be appreciated. So appreciate your support. Share this podcast with somebody you think it would benefit. And as I always leave you with, study, practice, teach, and then pass it on. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time.